2, 1, welcome to a video on Pareto charts, and I'll do it by example. I think it's probably ideal. I loved learning by examples when I was a student, although I guess I'm a student for life, really. Now, Pareto charts are basically kind of an addition to bar graphs. So you should know how to construct bar graphs first. I will put a link up above to bar graphs, so if you want to see, take a look at that before you maybe dive into Pareto charts. But if you're okay with bar graphs and you want to understand the difference, so Pareto charts are, again, typically utilized for qualitative data. Now, not necessarily, but most of the time that's what will happen. Now, again, if you want to know the difference between qualitative and quantitative data, so I'll put a link to that video up above as well, in case you're interested. But here is a construction of a Pareto chart. So we are given this particular data set. So someone has collected this. I just kind of made it up, to be honest with you. So we have random data. It's been collected. So some leaf colors in October. All right, so it's qualitative. It's kind of nominal in terms of a variable that we have. Now, the colors that were observed were red, yellow, green, and brown. Now, the count for each, so there's 47 red, 245 yellow, then you have some green, brown, and in total you have 450, which would have been the entire sample size, which is 100% of the sample size. So when you're creating a Pareto chart, so the first thing that we need to do is we need to create the percents for each particular data point. So red, yellow, green, and brown. So I need to know the percents. The other thing we need to do for Pareto charts, unlike for bar graphs, is we have to order them from largest to smallest. So before I start filling out this chart, I'm going to rearrange this chart so that it is from largest to smallest. All right, so we'll see you back. I'll do that in fast forward mode. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the percents of each, and I'll do the percents, and I'll round the percentages, say to the 1 or to the 10th. Okay, so let's take a look and see. Okay, so how would we do that? So 245 divided by 450. So if you change that to percent, so let's say it's approximately 54.4%. So I'm going to do that and fill out the rest in fast forward mode. All right, so now I have filled it up. Now notice what may happen, and this is actually what has happened here. If I round this, so the last one for green, so it's going to be 6.4%, which is not going to be exactly to 100. That's okay. You know, it can happen to you depending on your rounding, that you may not have exactly 100%, so just be careful how you round. You, of course, don't want to go over 100. So the green, you know, I put 6.5, but technically, you know, because 6.5 would have been 100, I'll keep it at 6.4, which would have really meant this is 99.9%. But because this is a graph, okay, so I am approximating, so to an error of, I guess, 0.1%, which is fine. Okay, so that can happen in its reality, and it's great that it happened here, because you might be wondering, all right, what if it doesn't start adding up when I round? So what some people will do is they'll just carry more decimal places, or, okay, they'll just add up to exactly 100. Okay, so that's what we would have there. Okay, now the next step in our little chart here is we want to have the cumulative values. So we want to be able to add up all of these cumulatively. So if I take this, what I have is 54.4. I'm going to be adding these up. So 28.7. So this one's going to be up to 83.1. then plus 10.4, it's 93.5, plus 6.4, and that's going to be 99.9, right? So here, I will chug it up, okay, and round it up to the 100 so that I have cumulatively all my values. So those are the cumulative columns. So now what? Well, it turns out that the Pareto chart is really interested in two things. It is interested in this column right here. So this column right there, that's what it's interested in. And it is interested in this column right here. Your count is on the left axis, where you're going to be counting up. And then on the right axis, you're going to have the cumulative values. So let me now construct, so basically it's going to be like a bar graph that you will see where all of these values are going to be inserted in. So these ones right here. And then I need these cumulative values on the right-hand side. So you'll see that constructed. Okay, so let me go down. I put the title in. And now I'm going to construct kind of fast-forward motion. All right, so scaling these things up, and then I'll create the Pareto chart for you and explain it as well. All right, let me just create the axis so that you can see it in fast forward. All right, so that took a little bit of time. Now, when you have graph paper, it's nice and a little bit easier to scale, but it's still not that easy. So notice in the fast forward, I started with the right-hand column, which is basically in percent. It's a little bit sloppy, but you can see that. So it's 10%, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, up to 100. That 100 corresponds to your opposite side, to your total that you have in terms of the count in your sampling space, so in your data. So I had 450 data collected. So that's what you have on the left-hand side, data collected there, and then 100 on the right-hand side. Notice, because I scaled by 10%, 10% of 450 is 45. So notice what I started doing was, I said 45, 90, 135. I was just adding 45s. You will scale it how you like it, depending on the data that you have. But the key thing is the count goes on the left. So notice I put here count. In brackets, I put 1 because we're just counting by ones. And then you have, now of course you don't have to highlight these things here. Let me remove that. But that's what you would have there. And then on the right-hand side, you have your cumulative addition of your percents. Now, on the x-axis, we had our leaf colors. So yellow, brown, red, green, they are from largest to smallest. And now I will fill up. So 245, 129, 47, and 29. Let me do that basically as bar graphs. That's the first step. Okay, I'm going to take care of this column. See you in a few moments. So welcome back. Okay, so now I have my bar graphs from increasing, to decreasing in decreasing order here. Notice I put in the numbers in the bars as well. You don't necessarily always have to do that. The next step is to create the right-hand side, the cumulative. And for the cumulative, we're taking the percents. So we're starting with these, and then we're going to be plunking them in. So notice that 50, so this is going to be 54.4%. Okay, so now I'm going to use a different color here. So it starts from this data right here because that is 54.4%. All right, obviously approximately there, give or take, okay, because it's just on the boundary there. Now, next we need the cumulative data, 83.1. So we're going to be drawing this out. So in the middle, so somewhere here, and 83. So this is going to be somewhere along here. All right, so that's 83.3%. Started with 54.4%. All right, so that's there. Let me move it over here on this side. It doesn't clash. Now the next item is 93.5. So we're almost all the way to the top. 93.5. Going to be somewhere along here. And then the last one is at 100%. All right, so there are your points that you have. 93.5. And then this one is at 100%. And now what you do is you just connect them through. Sometimes you'll see these being done in a nice smooth way, okay, or just as straight lines. So that is a Pareto chart. I have included all the components of a Pareto chart in here. So the key thing is they're ordered, largest to smallest in count. You have the left axis and the right axis on. This is not like a regular bar graph. And then you have the cumulative percents added, started from the first one. Notice they're always going to be above because you're going and adding them up. So that completes this particular graph. I hope that you found it useful. I know that doing it on your own is a pain. All right, but try it once or twice. You'll learn a lot instead of watching me or somebody else do it. Okay, see you in a future video. Bye, everybody.